Hello, my name is Vida Novak. I'm bringing you this video today to talk about a topic I find very interesting, and that is why I love the price per square foot metric. I'm a real estate agent with Howard Hanna Real Estate Services and also a real estate investor. So I've spent a great deal of time studying these factors and really making a lot of comparisons. This is an opinion that may be a bit controversial in some circles. But I have some very interesting thoughts about it that I'd like to share and hopefully educate everybody about it. So, price per square foot. So first of all, what it is not. It is not a be-all, end-all by any means, of course. To get into that, you really have to consider what is the value of a home. All the advertising, what is my home worth? And all those kind of things. Well, that's a difficult topic alone, and that's almost a topic for another time, but just to touch on that quickly, first of all, there is no defined value of the home. What's considered the fair market value of a home is really, at the end of the day, it's what is someone willing to pay for that home. So no one can tell you, not an appraiser, not anybody can say, this is the value, 100% guaranteed, done. The cost to build a home, of course, is not the value, not what the auditor's website says in your county, not Zillow, of course, is not the value. So what is my home worth? That's really always the question. And so, going to talk about price per square foot, that's one question. Now that can be considered very well an oversimplified metric. There are so many factors that play into the actual value of a home, that boiling it down to one is certainly not a safe way to approach it. You can certainly not say, oh, this is how much houses are worth, and that's what it is. You certainly can't do that. So what is it? What is price per square foot? It's the price of the home divided by the above grade finished living area of a home. So that's how it's defined, and so it kind of boils down all the factors to the price and the size of the home. And so again, can be considered quite oversimplified, but I have good reasons to think that it's meaningful. So, for example, in Northeast Ohio area, the ranges of this price per square foot for good homes in good condition on the open market range between $90 and $150 per square foot. Of course, there are plenty of homes outside that range, but that's fairly common. And so, of course, if I give those numbers, that's a very big range. That's not very precise. And so, of course, as I explain why that's not the only factor you can use, of course, because with such a wide range as that, it really wouldn't give you any kind of accurate prediction of a value of a home at all. So what it won't tell you, what the price per square foot won't tell you, of course, is what does not compare in homes. It doesn't factor in the type of a home, a colonial, a ranch, a bungalow, things like that. And it doesn't take into effect, of course, the significant features of homes that weigh in heavily on the value. Things like having a garage or an attached garage or not having a garage, or having a finished basement, for example. A finished basement is an interesting factor because it's not considered finished living area because it's not above grade. However, it's very good, desirable space in a home that often will weigh in that an exact identical home, one having a finished basement and one not, the one with the finished basement will have a higher value and an overall higher price per square foot. So just that metric alone doesn't tell you any of those things. So again, why I want to tell you why I love this metric. I'm explaining all the reasons why it's no good. So bear with me because it makes sense. But I do want to express the limitations of this metric because again, I don't want to express to anyone watching this to say this is all you need to know. Just go for it. So that's what it's not. That's what it won't tell you. But so why is it great? Why do I think this is an awesome metric to really work with and use as a tool in your toolbox? I find it to be a great equalizer. It really does. At the same time, it's not useful for that, but what it does is it brings everything down to just one simple number. And that's great. It's a great thing to have. It's a great for a reference. And again, it does make it a great tool. I would really say that it keeps us honest. You really won't be able to present any kind of a home, no matter how big or small or what condition it's in, for any kind of a value or any kind of a price you might ask that's way outside of the line of the comparable homes and based on that metric. So that's what's great. And the reason I think that's very useful is because of one important factor in valuation, and that's conformity. Conformity is a very important factor in real estate, why you always compare homes in the neighborhood and homes of similar size and features and so on. And so this is a very important factor in appraisal and in evaluation of homes, and so that's where I find it very helpful. It helps you bring all those factors down to one, and then you can compare out from there. So for example, you could take two homes, you could say these are the two homes and the value and the price per square foot. You could say, oh, this one was higher than the other one. Well, you can compare that one and say, again, as my previous example, you could say, well, this home was more than the other one because it had a finished basement. And so that was a major factor, and that's why there was a difference. That's why the discrepancy. And so you can take that one factor and you can then from there, you can compare other factors, and mostly significant factors, because there's always some variation in this, because again, the not even appraisal, not fair market value at all is an exact science. So you can kind of neglect the insignificant features, like the types of doorknobs, or whether there's a gold toilet or not, because even if a gold toilet costs $10,000, it's not going to help the value very much. So look at a house with a high price per square foot and ask why. Why is that so much? And then you can compare to other homes and find the significant differences there. Okay, this house was much less, but it's very nice. I'm looking at the pictures. It's updated, it's renovated, it's beautiful. Oh, it doesn't have a garage. Okay, well, there you go. The garage has nothing to do with the size or the space or the area of the home, but it will weigh in on the value, and so you can compare and say, well, this one was lower price per square foot than another similar home that did have a garage, and that's how you can compare them. So using those couple of factors, you can take the price per square foot, and you can just take two or three other significant factors and use them to spin off comparisons to be able to come up with a really good value. So this is helpful for buyers, of course, because it helps them know when an asking price of a home may be out of line, or to remind them why. So someone might be listing their house for a very high price, and maybe they're not getting a lot of traction, and they might say, well, you can look at that factor and say, well, you're asking $200 a square foot for your house. Oh, well, but I put in this pool. It cost me $35,000 to put this pool in. Well, you can take that. You can say, well, that's what it cost you, but of course, common knowledge, you won't get that money back. But anyway, you can simply compare to other houses with pools and say, well, this house had a pool also. It didn't sell for $200 a square foot. And you can go on down the line like that and say, this is kind of something, again, keeping us honest. And then for sellers, of course, it helps to maintain a fair asking price, because you can use that same logic to say, if somebody's making a poor comparison to a home and say, oh, well, that house next door, it only sold for this much, some amount less. Well, you can use that metric to say, well, okay, that may be true, but all other things being equal, that house is like 30% smaller than this house. And so very helpful for the seller to be able to make a very simple defense without having to spin out a whole appraisal, a whole laundry list of all the factors and value comparisons and adjustments and what have you, when making a simple argument about why the house is worth a certain amount. So that's the use and the utility of this metric, and again, why I think it's a very interesting, very helpful factor. So in conclusion, this is really a little thing I wanted to spin off today to really talk about this price per square foot, because I think it's very interesting. I think it may be underutilized, but it's also something that's very important to keep in mind when you do try to use it wisely. You really can't say like, hey, this is the value and that's because that's the value, but it really is. It's the most helpful thing. The most helpful purpose of it is as a basis for comparison, to make simple comparisons from one home to another without having to just bust out a whole appraisal or, again, a whole list. You can actually make comparisons using the price per square foot metric in your head, and so that's something that's very useful, very helpful. So if there's any questions, please give me a call or an email. It's 440-231-6247, Vida Novak at howardhanna.com. Also, comment on the video, comment below, or send a message for more information. I'd love to hear from you, engage, and hear anybody else's thoughts on this discussion. Why am I wrong, or possibly any useful, interesting information you might have got out of this. Thank you very much.